Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
You have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative Dig Talk. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
We President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima kawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyanema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the Alternative Dig Talk etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugendo maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop and smart TVs as we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative Dig Talk.
Omusajja bulijjo muwa ssente mu kibanja mpola ng'asonda poloti ennungi naye ngenza okutuuka nga woofiisi bulijjo wenteeka ssente baavaawo nadda essimu tebazikwata kyokka nga n'ebyentambula byakaweerega ebiseera bya covid yenga ndabye
gwe baakubye naye lwaki weesiga abafere lwaki tewanneebuuzaako ne nkulagirira ba praise nze be bannyamba nze ndyokke.
Praise Property Consultants Uganda Limited bagula n'okutunda ettaka kusana amayumba bapunta ettaka ne bakwanguyiza okufuna ekyapa bazimba amayumba kusana okuba plan ne architectural design balina plot enteeketeeke wonna w'ogyetaaze ate ku byapa ebya private mile land n'ebibanja ku ttaka lya Kabaka era bakkiriza ekibanja mpola basange Wandegeya mu katale ka KCCA Southern Wing leve ey'okusatu lumu 128 oba ku ssimu 0706 147 06 ne 0783 821 918.
Hello beautiful people, you're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday right from 6 to 7.
It is your responsibility omwana wo kubeera mu nyumba nga teyasuze bweru mbo bamubanja rent. Koyo kulaba abalenzi abasajja abafunga butuufu tebabuulirirwa nga babulamu.
Towerabira nti tuli wano ku the Alternative Dig Talk mukwano gwange gwali topic kiki wandiyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
You can take your time, look for a job, stabilize, men will come, men will always be there, you will get the men. Bonna goyagala musajja yenna goyagala ojja mufuna.
Embaga ketuuke bino bitu byasenga nawe ojja bafuna.
Naye ng'oli asitudde tuyakedde ku maca baga nti nsitudde tu naye nga mubutuufu agambye nti gy'akyali muto.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships? Just be commenting a topic yona gyandiyagadde twogereko tujjako tujogera kwano ku the alternative dig talk kushare enganzi the snap talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, how is your morning today? It's a cold one right here from locally in Nanganda, Makinde Division, where we are streaming live from. The show is the Mighty Drive show that airs every Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. We promised you to break dawn having a conversation with Uganda, and that is exactly what we do every day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Good morning and welcome to the show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. Today we are fortunate enough to have a lawyer and a lecturer in the building. His name is Mr. Dickson Kahama. He will be joining me. We're going to be talking about different things that are happening in the country, starting from the impacts of COVID-19 on the education sector. Him as a lecturer, he will be talking to us and telling us more about that in an in-depth analysis. Later on in the show, we shall still talk about what is trending in the country, that is no bail to the different people or the different stakeholders who have committed capital offenses, and he shall be delving more into that discussion. So ladies and gentlemen, everybody who is interested in the impacts of COVID-19 to the education sector, because there are really very many, we shall be talking about that. But before we delve into that discussion, allow me to remind you of Praise Property Consultants. These ladies and gentlemen are dealing everything land. Do you want to acquire land? Do you want to sell land? Do you want a building? Do you want to sell a building, a house, or anything? Or are you actually buying that? They deal in everything that is real estate, land related. And they have, by the way, various plots in the various roads that leave the country. That is Masaka Road, in places like Nabingo, Chengera, and all those areas along Masaka Road. Then they also have along Mitiana Road. Do you want to be Bujuko, Bulaga, Mitiana, all that? They have plots of land that you can actually get at affordable prices. You can call them. Their number is 0706 147006, or you can just go in on their main offices. That is at the Wandegea KCCA Market, third floor, room 128. They will be able to help you, and you can get all the affordable land at affordable prices in anywhere you want. Let me start off with the discussion that has been trending. Remember, now we start the mighty global news update. Later on, I'll be joined by Lilian Nuwete, and we shall be talking about the topical discussion. And Mr. Dickson Kahama, as I've told you, he is a lawyer and a lecturer, and he is already in the building. He's going to be joining me a few minutes from now. Let's talk about the Dubai Expo that has been really the talk of town in the country here and in Kampala and on Twitter and other social media platforms. That is the Dubai Expo. The Dubai Expo is going to be happening for the next 6 months, and it's right there in Dubai where various countries are showcasing their innovations. And among the countries that are showcasing their innovations, there is Uganda. Uganda has been also showcasing, and the President Yoweri Kaguta Tibuhaburwa Museveni was at this particular launch. And at this particular launch of the Dubai Expo, we saw him touring the different innovations that have been innovated by different countries. And among those was our very own, the Pearl, and we were showcasing Glatto milk. In that regard, many people have started, and as I've talked about it right now, there is my producer Rogers smiling to himself. I don't know why. But Lato milk is one of the innovations that were being showcased in Dubai, and the President Museveni was there looking at it, but it fueled a lot of debates, and many Ugandans were saying, is this the only thing that we could actually showcase as an innovation? And I think they were talking about the display. If you would look at the display of the Lato milk on that particular event, it was not what they would say so attractive, but at least we showcased. And when you juxtapose with the other countries that were showcasing themselves, we saw Rwanda showcasing a robot, and everybody was like, wow, Rwanda is showcasing a robot, and Uganda is showcasing Lato milk. Minister Bariomosi, the Minister for ICT, says Ugandans shouldn't laugh about what we are showcasing as Uganda. And he says, as per yesterday when I was getting this bulletin and organizing for it, we had 900 million worth of investments from the Dubai Expo. So he says that there is nothing to worry. Uganda is really getting income from the Dubai Expo, and even if it's Lato milk, that is what Uganda can actually show. We have the best milk, and that is Lato milk in that regard. So that was what was in the Dubai Expo. The Dubai Expo is going to be running for the next 6 months, and various innovators are going to be displaying their products. And remember, this is not the only innovation that Uganda has had over the time, but Uganda has a lot of innovations, and I think in the Dubai Expo for the next 6 months we shall be seeing things like this and better innovations, because there are young people doing different things. For example, there is an innovation, the Uganda's first ever digitalized mobile studio. This is an innovation, and I think we are the only people who have it in Africa. It is the first ever digitalized mobile studio where you have debates and talk, and have debates behind the wheels. That is not something you find in the country Uganda. It is not there. And of course, in Africa, we are the first of its kind. I've seen another digitalized mobile studio in Zambia. But yes, after this particular innovation. So we have a lot of things to showcase as a country, as Uganda. And for the next 6 months, I know we shall be showcasing better, better innovations as a part of that. Then let's, away from the innovations and the Dubai Expo, let's talk about RDCs. There are some RDCs from the various parts of the countries, especially in the northern region. They are saying you are not going to be allowed to actually enter any public office if you don't have a vaccination card. That means vaccination is really serious. Remember, the government is carrying out a mass vaccination campaign all over the country, and they're vaccinating literally everybody. So you go get your first jab, and later on you shall be going for the second jab, because the vaccines are there in plenty in the country so far. So ladies and gentlemen, everybody, you ladies, teachers, students, everybody, parents, let's go get our vaccination, because COVID-19 is really real, and it has been disturbing various people in the country. So let's go get that vaccination so that we can be safe. And some RDCs are saying there is no entering my office if you're not vaccinated. And you have seen those posters on their office doors. If you're not vaccinated, don't tamper to enter and see me. Sometimes this has fueled a lot of debate. Why do you actually have to bar someone from seeing the RDC just because they have not been vaccinated? That is something that sometimes is not practical, or what someone can say impractical for the spheres that we're in, for the tide as Uganda. I think Awaba Chisusizamu as the RDCs, the resident district commissioners, of course, they want the population safe, but what about the population? What can they say? Do they even have a say about this? If some have not actually got the vaccine and have gone to vaccination points and have not actually not got vaccinated because of the various challenges, as I'll be telling you, because the nurses are also starting to raise an alarm on vaccination allowances. So I think we should soften that as as the RIDCs. Of course, what you're doing is something that is good. It's a very, very good endeavor. And let's wait and see what will be coming in from the RIDCs right there. A suspected terrorist in Uganda, right here in Chibando, was murdered. In fact, let me say was shot dead yesterday, because murdering, that means they were murdered without intent. This particular gentleman yesterday tried to flee from the police. Hamid Nsubuga, who evaded arrest in Padere district following the death of the deputy IGP Ochola. And at his funeral, remember those terrorist attacks that were there? This particular gentleman, Nsubuga Hamid, was among the terrorists or the organizers of these particular terrorists, but he was able, these particular terrorist attacks, but he was actually able to flee and escape the police. So after a time of hunting and looking for this gentleman, he was found yesterday in Chebando, where he tried to resist arrest and was shot dead by the Uganda police. And so this was told to us by the spokesperson, Mr. Fred Enanga, who says it is confirmed Mr. Hamid Nsubuga was shot dead yesterday in Chebando. So that is what is coming in from there. Then there have been talks going around the different social media platforms, which social media platforms yesterday had to be off for at least 6 hours, which costed Mark Zuckerberg, the proprietor of WhatsApp and Facebook, over $5.9 billion. That's a lot of money, but of course they make in 6 hours. If this gentleman is making 5.9 billion, how much are you making as an individual? That's a rhetoric question. You don't need to answer it. Let's go back to the story. And as I was telling you, there was stories that were making rounds that there was a mass drowning in Buyikwe district, and the UPDF has come out to say that this is actually fake news, because as according to the WhatsApp messages, they were saying 30 people had drowned and died following following what happened in Buyikwe. But the UPDF has debunked this and says it is fake news. There wasn't any mass drowning. There was no drowning at all in Buyikwe district. So Ugandans should rest assured there was no, there wasn't such a thing as it was professed by these social media platforms in the various WhatsApp groups. 16 minutes past the top of the hour. Allow me to talk about the president and the Chief Justice. They have been the talk of town for lately. And in this regard, the Chief Justice says he has not officially received any complaint or any written information to notify him that bail should be scrapped off the constitution of the country. So the Chief Justice Alphonse Owiny-Dollo, in a telephone interview with the Daily Monitor, one of President Museveni's favorite newspapers, he says that he has not officially received any written communication. Remember, if someone talks about it in the media, it does not mean that the Chief Justice or the other arms of government will receive this from the media. It is always about written consent. A president, the head of the executive and the head of the country will write to the Chief Justice and the judiciary, and that is when it is actually confirmed that, it is reality. The president wants to scrap off bail. So as per now, the Chief Justice Alphonse Owiny-Dollo says he has not received any written confirmation to notify him that, the president does not want to have a bail. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still on the Mighty Drive show. It is just 17 minutes past 7 a.m. We promised to break down having a conversation with Uganda. And that is what exactly we do right here. In the first few minutes, we talk about what has been trending in the country, the mighty news updates. Sometimes it's global, sometimes we do domestic right here at home. And remember, I'm not alone to make sure that you receive this information in real time. We have Rogers Aturiahabwe, who is the producer of the day, and Mr. Jeremiah Mushibi, who is the man on camera. Very, very, intelligent young man. Let's talk about the fire in Chotera. Yesterday, unfortunately, at around 10 p.m. In fact, yesterday but one at around 10 p.m. Echiro echakesa olunaku olweggulo twalabye people, one dead and 3 injured in a fire outbreak right there in Chotera district. This happened in Lwankoni B village in Chotera district. So may his soul rest in peace. And 3 people were injured in this fire outbreak. The police up to now is still looking for what exactly happened to this individual. How did the family and how did the fire break out in this particular homestead? The police will be giving us their reports in our subsequent bulletin, as we always wait for the police reports. Sometimes they come, sometimes they never show up. As we come to the end of the Mighty Global News Updates, let's talk about the nurses. The nurses who have been carrying out the vaccination campaigns all over the country have decried what they call the very, very meager allowances that are given to them. According to the head of the Uganda Nurses and Midwives Association, that is Mr. Justus Cherop, he is the president of Uganda Nurses and Midwives Association, which is surprising to me. The Midwives Association and nurses, they are male nurses as well. Okay, thank you. Let's talk about this. The nurses are decrying Rogers Turahawe is laughing. The nurses are decrying what they called the meager allowances that are given unto them. They are paid 2,000 shillings every day, which means this is where they buy their breakfast, this is where they buy their lunch, and this is where they buy their supper, and sometimes I think the transport. And according to the president, Mr. Justice Chirop, he says this is very, very small for the nurses and what they do and in this mass vaccination campaign, and says at least raise the nurses to a price of maybe 15,000 Uganda shillings. 19 minutes past the top of the hour. As we come to the end of the news bulletin, I have something that I know Ugandans will be interested in. Pandora's Papers. I guess you also are wondering, what are the Pandora's Papers? Pandora's Papers, these are investigative journalists, and they are funded by the Consortium of Investigative Journalism in Africa, who go out of their way and investigate people who are hiding their wealth. Bakweka ebyobugagga byabwe naye nga balina ebyobugagga ebisinga ku bye balaga abantu baabwe. So according to the Pandora's Papers, for the first time, not the first time by the way, for this year's Pandora's investigation, a Ugandan is on a list of those who hide their wealth from them, and that is none other than the Minister for Security, Mr. Jim Muhwezi. They say this gentleman has more money than he professes or says he has. So according to the Pandora Papers and an investigation made by them, and this I told you is a consortium of investigative journalists in the country, Mr. Jim Muhwezi has more than he's showing the country. Do you believe it? I don't know, but that is what the Pandora's Papers are saying. So this I give this back to you, the people who are watching me today. What do you think? Is Mr. Jim Muhwezi hiding a lot of wealth that he has? And on this list, we have President of Kenya, that is Uhuru Kenyatta. They say he has more than he professes. The DRC's Mr. Ngweso, Gabon's President Ali Bongo, and many, many leaders on the African continent. They have more than actually what they profess. Is this true? Did they get what they have in legal or illegal ways? That is a question that you will answer yourself, because at just 20 minutes past the top of the hour, President Museveni gave out 553 million to Dubai dwellers in their circle. So let me invest 553 million. Remember, he was at the Dubai Expo, and I think he is still at the Dubai Expo, and the president says, let me invest 553 million in the Ugandans that are in Dubai. And MTN is also looking at selling 20% of its shares to the public. Do you have money? Rogers Turahawe, Jeremiah Mochibi, Mr. Norman Tumuhimbi say, yeah, the money man, let me say that. You can buy 20% of MTN. Wouldn't that be a lot of money? Because I'm telling you, MTN is really making money. If they can donate over billions and billions of shillings, how about their net worth? So according to the initial public offer, MTN is going to share 20% of its shares to the public. So feel free to go and walk into any MTN shop and say, you know what, I'm buying you today because I have money. And Sironko district is still suffering from floods and hailstorms. Over 385 homesteads have been affected, and 1,926 people have been affected in Kirombe, Bukise, Busate, Nandango, Nalugungu, Busulu, Sironko Town Council, and other parts of the country. Now we have Mr. Dickson Kahama, as I told you. He is a lawyer and he's a lecturer. We're going to be talking about the impacts of COVID-19 on the different individuals and stakeholders in the country, the teachers, the lecturers themselves, and maybe later on in the show, if we get some bit of time, we shall talk about what is happening in the bail, or a bail application in the country. The president is saying, you know what, there is no bail, and yes, the Chief Justice is saying there should be bail to capital offenders. This is the Mighty Drive. It's time we go in for a short commercial break, but when we return, the Mighty Drive continues.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative Dig Talk. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
We President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyannema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the Alternative Dig Talk etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugende mu maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop and smart TVs as we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative Dig Talk.
Omusajja bulijjo muwa ssente mu kibanja mpola ng'asonda poloti ennungi naye ngenza okutuuka nga woofiisi bulijjo wenteeka ssente baavaawo nadda essimu tebazikwata kyokka nga n'ebyentambula byakaweeredde biseera bya kovidi yegandabye
gwe baakubye naye lwaki weesiga abafere lwaki tewanneebuuzaako ne nkulagirira ba praise nze be bannyamba nze njokke.
Praise Property Consultants Uganda Limited bagula n'okutunda ettaka kw'ossa n'amayumba bapunta ettaka ne bakwanguyiza okufuna ekyapa bazimba amayumba kw'ossa n'okuba plan ne architectural design balina ploti enteeketeeke wonna w'ogyetaaze ate ku byapa ebya private Miloland n'ebibanja ku ttaka lya Kabaka era bakkiriza ekibanja mpola basange Wandegeya mu katale ka KCCA Southern Wing leve ey'okusatu lumu 128 oba ku ssimu 0706 147 06 ne 0783 821 918.
Hello beautiful people, you're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday right from 6 to 7.
It is your responsibility omwana wo kubeera mu nyumba nga teyasuze bweru mbo bamubanja rent. Koyo kulaba abalenzi abasajja abakunga butuufu tebabuulirirwa nga babulamu.
Towerabira nti tuli wano ku the Alternative Dig Talk mukwano gwange gwali topic kiri wandyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
You can take your time, look for a job, stabilize, men will come, men will always be there, you will get the men. Bonna goyagala musajja yina goyagala ojja mufuna.
Embaga ketuuke bino bintu byasenga nawe ojja bafuna.
Naye ng'oli asitudde tuyakedde ku macabaga nti nsitudde naye nga mutuufu agambye nti gy'akyali muto.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships? Just be commenting a topic yona gyandyagadde twogereko tujjako tujogera kwano ku the Alternative Dig Talk ku share enganzi the Snap Talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
to you, our viewers who are watching the Mighty Drive. My name is Princess Edward Lillian. It's a very cold morning, yeah, and we are here to serve you as we promised. Yes, so some lulimi luzungu kanzideko mu lulimi olweka lulimi oluganda katono nnyo mwasuze mutya abatulaba era abatukereddeko mwenna abali mu kulaba the Mighty Drive. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala abali emitala w'amayanja abali mu ggwanga Uganda. Tweyanziza nnyo, tweyanzeega olunaku olwaleero tutunuulira the impact of COVID-19 on education. Yes, gwe mulaba gwe tugenda okuba nga tetukubaganyako ebirowoozo era nga tulina Counsel Dickson mu studios etwegaseeko dda agenda kuba nga tweyanjulira abuze ne kuba tulaba ate then tugende maaso ne discussion yaffe naye nga nkutegeeza nti ndina munnange etamatika ruhanga bwe tugenda okuba nga ate twongera okuba nga tumanya council yekikyalowooza ku education ya Uganda. Where are we going? Waliwo ekyetaaga okutereezebwamu? Yes, byonna tugenda kuba nga ate tubikubaganyako ebirowoozo. So gwalina ekibuuzo agenda butereevu ku Facebook page yaffe The Alternative Uganda, kiteekeyo ate tujja kuba nga tukisoma era nga naawe obeere nga ofuna answer ate munnange eyo yennyininyini esaanidde. Tugenda kuba tukozesa olulimi oluzungu olw'ensonga nti omugenyi waffe olulimi oluganda lumutawanyaamu katono nnyo, naye nga tugenda kuba tukozesa nnyo olulimi oluzungu okusinga tusobole okuba nga ate twogerezeganya wamu naye, naye nga n'oluganda tujja dukozesaamu katini. So temulowooza nti ate abooluganda tubasuuliridde ne tugenda ennyo mu luzungu, wonna tujja kuba tukubawo kasavu kanyama. So kansooke nnyaliriza omugenyi then ate tutandike program yaffe obujjuvu. You most welcome.
Thank you, madam.
Say hello to our viewers.
Yes, good morning, the viewers of The Alternative. My name is Dickson Kahama, a lecturer of law at Kampala International University, and I'll be glad to have a discussion this morning with all of you who are watching us, and I hope we have a fruitful discussion.
You are most welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so how has been the going?
Yeah, the going is going as the statement is or the word is, but we are moving on, pushing on to say that life can move on.
Okay.
Yes.
My name is Edgar, and it's a profound honor to meet you. I've met many people you have taught, and they really hail a lot of regards and successes to you. They say you are a very excellent lecturer.
That's great.
Yes, and
it's great to hear that.
Yesterday, the teachers were celebrating the World Teachers Day, and what they believe in, they said, because we are the nation is. What is your take on the teachers today? How is the education sector? Generally, from maybe 2020, that was March, we've seen teachers being on and off. Yeah. Some have left the trend. Generally, what is your take on the education and the teachers so far in the last 2 years?
It has been difficult for all of us as teachers because of the pandemic. Of course, as we all know, it came with its own problems. Yeah. Of course, there are always problems, but the problem of the pandemic has caused a lot of problems, not only to the society, to the economy of the state, to the health, but education. And we could say that without education, certain things might not move. Like if we talk about economics or economy, if we don't have educated people, if we talk about health, we need doctors, we need nurses to be able to help or assist the community. But because now education is a standstill because of the pandemic, no one wanted it to stand. But because of the pandemic, the education sector is coming low and low and low, and yet it is the one that feeds actually the nation. Okay, so my assessment would be that I think we are really troubled by the pandemic, and it's really causing a lot of problems to the education sector, and especially the products that actually we are going to, the end of the day, who are we producing to come out of school?
Okay.
Yes.
But is the day worth celebrating, the World Teachers Day? Because yesterday, this day was received with mixed feelings, according to the teachers. Is it worth celebrating this time around?
It is, because my opinion would be it is still worth to celebrate Teachers Day, because despite the fact that there is a pandemic, we are still teachers. Okay. And there are students who are still learning. And it's for me, I don't want to put that it's us. It's the people that we have produced through the system of our teaching. So I think it is still worth that we are celebrating the students that have gone through our hands. It's them that we are, not us, because for us we cannot celebrate ourselves. But the impact that we have done, much as we have the pandemic, there is still some hope.
You've seen through the pupils and the
yes,
people
some students are studying online.
Yes.
Okay, we've been able, among the problems we have, we are still doing some work towards students and pupils and children. So for me, I think it is worth, but not for us, but for the products. And the hope we still give to these young people, much as we are not into the school system itself.
But now we've had a problem of teachers leaving the teaching, and then they resort to other things. For example, others are into farming, and then others are doing other things, of which some of these are not going to come back.
Yes.
To be the teachers.
So the teaching comes with passion. It's the passion that you get. But the problem, as we all know, that teachers depend on the tuition of students, and that is their survival. And someone who is dedicated on teaching, he might not think of any other means apart from waiting for kids to be around school or students to be in school to earn a living. But because of the pandemic, as we know, the students could not come to school.
Definitely.
That means there is no earning in schools. That means someone has to survive. So for me, I don't think it is their intention to leave education sector and all that, but it's because what has caused, what the consequences of the pandemic. So for me, I still think that the passion is still there, but the circumstances don't allow the passion to be fulfilled.
Okay.
So I know some of them have left, and probably they don't know if there is any hope for them coming back, but I think we have hope if the pandemic reduces. But the point, if we are able to get students to class, but the other point would be, even if it's not about students, it's not about earning, but what are you impacting as a teacher? So the point is that you decide to leave, but did you have the passion? Did you think you're impacting on someone? So even if they decide to leave, I still believe that one day, if you have the passion, if you understand what it means to be a teacher, I think they will come back.
Still calls you back.
It will still call you back.
But now this is going to affect us as a country, because now if we go ahead and then we don't have enough teachers, it's also going to affect us.
No, you will not have enough teachers. We will still have enough teachers. It's just that the problem is this system, because now if we get an opportunity, right, and probably this pandemic reduces as it is, I'm sure we'll go back to school. And I'm sure there are still other people who were teachers and were not recruited for that purpose, maybe. But now there's an opportunity. So there is always another opportunity for someone to come in. So it's like having in a university one lecturer goes. Okay? Does it mean that students will not study because the lecturer has left? It has created another opportunity for someone else to come in. So for me, I believe that yes, some might have left, but it's an opportunity for someone there else to also come and impact something on the students.
But Mr. Kahama, doesn't this make them a bit skeptical, those that are coming in the trade, because they have seen what is happening? Because I'm talking from a perspective of even the student teachers. Like, hey, if it has been like that and it has shown that maybe we are not permanent as well, they can go away with us and nobody cares. Because maybe I would say the government, we shall talk about that, but you look at the government, it has not really been indulging the teachers to maybe look for them where they are and say, maybe let's give you an upkeep of 100,000, maybe just to show you that you are the people who build the nation. Don't you think the people who are coming in the trade are going to actually be skeptical about?
But as maybe I might be wrongly, or they can correct me.
Yes, please.
If you're a government employee, I don't think COVID really
affected you.
Really, even if you're a teacher.
Yes.
But this comes to us, the private.
Yes. And we are the
majority of the us. But then they probably would say that COVID or the pandemic has opened the eyes of the people. especially as teachers, because we used to think of been thinking, oh, okay, every morning I have to go and teach,
I have to be in class.
And that's the end of my life. Probably it has given us another direction of thinking. While I'm teaching, I need to do something else. So even those who are coming in, it has even opened their eyes more than us who are in the system, knowing that if I'm going to teach, I should have prepared something else to do in case something happens, because now we don't know what will happen. So for me, I don't want to say that they will be skeptical. In fact, it's even encouraging them that when I'm entering into the teaching profession, I should have a backup plan. Just like any other form of employment. It's not only teachers that are affected, even other private institutions, they are affected. But so even if a person who was working in a bank, today he wakes up, we want 10 employees. Unfortunately, you are not one of the 10 employees. What are you going to do? So it also gives you a mind to start thinking of, okay, I'm not also permanent in this bank, just as I'm not permanent in the KIU or in any other school, but it is an opportunity for me to think outside the box as a teacher, and also the people who want to join the profession, after seeing what is happening, it's time to also think about what next.
Okay, as Lillian, you're finishing your point?
Yeah, just one point. Okay. And then the other thing, maybe teachers, we only think of the classroom way of doing things, but there are other things as teachers can do. So if you sit down and do research as a teacher, research still goes on, and people are paid for research. So our mind should not be focused on classroom business. Because the moment you focus on class, what if you don't have a class on that day?
What will you do?
What are you going to do at home? You're going to sit at home a whole day. So today you have a class, like university lecturers, you might have 2 hours, 8 hours a week. So what are you doing in the other 12 hours of your week? So we should not think of the classroom only and the blackboard. As teachers, we should find other means of assisting ourselves. And one of them probably would be research.
Okay.
Yes.
That is one you have said. And as Lillian is going to come in with a question, I want to also look at, Mr. Kahama, the mental health of the teachers. Now, we're looking at teachers who have not been in the trade for 2 years, and we don't know where they have been. Maybe some have been in the vivandas, some have been betting, because, you know, they need a means to survive. And now these people are coming to teach the students of the nation. What is your take on that? Is their mental health, are they actually mentally ready to teach the students again and give them wisdom that, and can we even trust them with our pupils of the nation, the future generation?
Okay, I'm not aware. Okay, I'm not aware of any teacher who has gone to betting or something like that.
I was seeing one.
Maybe you know some of them.
Beds, and you see.
Yeah, but the point is, it gets a point when you cannot take it anymore. So, and I'm quite sure if someone has gone into that, and your mind is now polluted in other, it will be difficult for you to come back to class. Like right as you started, you people said, or you said that some teachers have even forgotten about school. So we have chances that most of them might not come back. But I said, if people don't come back, there's an opportunity for someone else. Okay? So I know, and I want to believe that, yes, most of us might not come back because of what now we have engaged into. You said some are in betting, some have gone into farming. Yes, probably those will not come back. Just like right now, there are people who were teachers many years before even COVID, and they changed the trade. Okay, so but these ones forcefully changed the trade, but because of the pandemic. And I have a feeling most of them, I don't think the moment you have changed the trade and you've seen things moving in the other direction, you might go back.
So we bring them back.
But now it's, for me, I'm having hope that it's going to open a door for someone else who has been looking for an opportunity. Because I know there are some people I know personally who are teachers, but they don't have where to work. You get to the point. But they are teachers, they have their qualifications, but now the opportunity has come. You know, when one door closes, another opens. Yeah, so someone might be said, I'm tired of teaching, but someone is getting the opportunity, now I'm going to get a job. So I want to be optimistic that much as some of us are leaving the trade, but there is hope for others to come in. After all, no one is going to die wherever they are.
You're right. You talked about COVID-19 opening eyes of many people, and we've looked at the teachers in particular.
Yes,
Have
please.
you considered looking at the syllabus as well, changing it from what we've been studying to something else due to the COVID-19 pandemic?
Okay. I will not talk on. I'll talk what I do personally, because I may not be conversant with the secondary school and all that. But at university level, every lecturer has a course he teaches. Okay? And some of us who are still there keeps updating ourselves personally. So the change of syllabus at the university level, because there are individuals who teach these things, individual experts. So as an expert, you need to be updating yourself and usually the university syllabuses usually don't change until after 5 years. So this is just 2 years. So it means that we are still online. So now it depends on the lecturer. How are you going to update yourself with what has happened to see that you see your students through? So I don't want to speak for the primary or second because I'm not aware of what happens there. But for the purposes of where I am, at least I know that our syllabuses will not change in the next 5 years or 10 years, depending on where you are. So it might not affect us too much. But again, I've seen the government is trying to panel bit its own syllabus.
Yeah, the syllabus is going to change.
But one might be happy with it because it's becoming practical.
Yes.
Okay. And then the world we are in, it's practical. So for me, if it is really what they are saying, it is even a better option than what we used to have. Because we need now hands-on. Because right now, if we have all our students without a hands-on, they cannot do anything. They are seated at home, but if they had an idea, I know how maybe to braid, I know how to bake or whatever it could be easier for even a child who is at home.
Start making money and being productive.
Yes, with help with the parents, with the hope that I'll go back to school.
Okay. Yes. All right, Mr. Kahama, still about that, you have talked about your syllabi not changing over time.
Yeah.
And COVID-19 has really revealed to us that maybe we need to adapt new measures, adapting. Don't you think you're also, as the tertiary institutions who are polishing these individuals, and oftentimes people are saying you're polishing them to be job seekers, not job creators, and maybe they need an entrepreneurial aspect. Don't you think you also need to first look through yourselves and maybe say, let's better our techniques, maybe the syllabi itself, maybe the teaching, because now there has been a rise of online teaching, which has its merits and demerits, which we shall talk about in the next hour. But don't you think you also need to maybe leave your comfort zone and go for something that is maybe change? We forget the old rigid ways of we're only changing the syllabi in 5 to 10 years, and yet things are actually changing every day.
True, but there are subjects you cannot change. Okay, secondly, that would depend on the interest of the student. Because like if we are teaching law, what are you going to change to make it more practical? Because
the
the constitution changes, but how often does even the constitution change? And secondly, the law course is a practical course.
Yes.
Okay, so already in its own, it's already a practical course. So again, now the problem would be, how are we advising our students? So right now, for me, I think the best way to help is to start a proper career guidance to students, especially even parents. Because, you know, a student wakes up and says, I finished senior 6, I want to do law. Or I want to do maybe Bachelor of Social Work, whatever it is. Now the question to a parent, what next? You get to the point. So the point for me, I think we need to go back maybe probably from senior 6 and down there, we need to start orienting students. Before you join university, what do you want to do? Yeah. And then in university, there are practical units. Like if you go to science, biology, you go to mechanical engineering, there is practical things there. So much as you want us to change, but what do you want us to change on a university level? Okay. I think what we need to change is the mind of the people who join the institution. So if I do this course in Uganda, what am I going to do with it? If you go to university and you say you want to do, I don't want to these courses, but there are some certain courses
that are really
don't make sense to you, but because you want to go through university, and so I also got a degree at university. I need to go and get it. But what are you getting it for?
Is that the challenge?
I think that's one of the biggest problems.
So the problem is that we don't have career guidance at a stage of before you join a higher institution of learning. Because you need to look at a state like Uganda if you're a parent. But not imposing what a child doesn't want. That's also another issue. So what are you? So you want to go to university and study? I don't know which one should I choose.
Don't choose. Don't mention it. Yes. Don't mention it. Yes, so you pick it.
You pick something. Then you need to ask your child. Okay, so with this course, what are you going to do in Uganda? Of course, there are some courses that are good outside Uganda.
Yes.
But if you do it, you're a marketable person. But our parents need to look at the situation we are in as a country before you can. Don't let students go to university because they want to go there.
But Mr. Kahama, one will say that the parents maybe have also not been in position to go to even study to an advanced level. And what they want is to see Edgar Matthew Karwanga at university, because I haven't been able to go to the university with a degree. All she has but they don't even know the courses we do. That's when you see a student making up money that is not there, but the parent will give them that money. So, Mr. Kahama, I would love to maybe suggest that we don't put it on the parents. Don't you think we need to put it on the system to maybe say, you know what, this course and this particular course, I won't mention the names because there are people who are watching and they're doing those courses, and it's going to be a discouragement to them. But don't we need as a state to sit back and like, you know what, this is impractical in Uganda, it's practical elsewhere, but not here. Why don't we scrap off the syllabus? But like how they scrapped off political science,
But political science is important.
Yeah, and I'm saying, but they scrapped off. I don't want to look at the heart they used to scrap off that. But I'm just saying, don't they need to do something like that? And you as the stakeholders, because I'm thinking you are the people who sit down and move these motions and say, we don't need this, and we have seen it, we have taught students. Don't you think it goes back to the state and yourselves?
It's true. It goes back to the state and ourselves. That is true. I agree with you. But then,
yes,
the question would be, of course, you cannot scrap out everything.
Definitely.
Because as you know, not all our brains are the same. You get to the point. Yes, so if you want to say, like KIU, we are scrapping up ABCD.
Yes.
Because we feel that the market's not marketable here. Again, you are missing an opportunity for someone who wants to go there. Okay?
Yes.
Now, the question, so if someone wants to go and say, okay, I went to university, you are missing someone's opportunity probably. So yes, it's important the country we look into ourselves and find out what exactly is best for the country. But I've heard, or what I've seen these days, they are more campaigning for practical things, especially the DTI, that Intergovernment Institute on Technology Institute, so which is good. But then I don't want to, I still stick to our parents, because the parents feel that going to university is the best thing. You get to the point, forgetting that what is the student going to get there? You see, I'll give an example. My students who are doing law, they all come to me, want to go to LDC. Yes, it's important to go to this, but what next?
After LDC.
After LDC.
They go to court.
Which court? How many people are in court? How many people are in court? And how many clients are in the world? For you to say, okay, I want to go to how many that you are going to share that. Do you think, you look at things, is it practical enough? Fine, you can go to this, you have your certificate, therefore.
They are far, as President Museveni likes to
That
say.
is the most important question beyond.
Yes.
So for me, I think as lecturers, as teachers, it's important that we give career guidance to students.
Okay.
We should be open to them, tell them the reality.
There are times when you tell them the reality, they're like, you're biased.
No, not biased. You tell, someone can advise but not decide for you. So if you come to my office and you ask me, I'll advise what I think and how I feel. It's up to you to take it. But tomorrow you come and tell me, okay, probably you talked about it. You know, when we studied, our parents we didn't have that opportunity for career guidance and all that. But
I thought your days were better.
No, they are not better because
career guidance was vibrant in the 90s, and you know, it was very
okay. The 90s we used to. Okay, it started from the primary school, I think. Yes, because there then the practical aspect was already there.
Yes.
Because I remember when we were in P2, we used to do those art work and all those things at a primary level.
Yes.
Meaning that something went wrong.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Don't preempt that, because that is coming in the next hour.
Okay.
We still have Mr. Dickson Kahama. He is a lecturer and a lawyer as well. So we shall be discussing a lot of things in the second hour. And feel free to call us in the next hour. The number is 0789 017 145 or 0759 132310. You can talk to Mr. Dickson Kahama and tell him what you see. And in the next hour, we are going to start talking about the students themselves. Is there an education crisis in the country? Because those things have been professed, and many people are saying there is definitely an education crisis. Thank you so much for watching us. That was the first hour of the Mighty Drive. We're going for a short commercial break, but when we return, Mr. Dickson is still with us, and Lillian Luwede will be ushering us into the next hour. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. We're going for a short commercial break. We return.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Omusajja bulijjo muwa ssente mu kibanja mpola ng'asonda poloti ennungi naye ngenza okutuuka nga woofiisi bulijjo wenteeka ssente baavaawo nadda essimu tebazikwata kyokka nga n'ebyentambula byakaweeregga ebiseera bya kovidi yegandabye
gwe baakubye naye lwaki weesiga abafere lwaki tewanneebuuzaako ne nkulagirira ba praise nze be bannyamba nze njokke
Praise Property Consultants Uganda Limited bagula n'okutunda ettaka kw'ossa n'amayumba bapunta ettaka ne bakwanguyiza okufuna ekyapa bazimba amayumba kw'ossa n'okuba plan ne architectural design balina ploti enteeketeeke wonna w'ogyetaaze ate ku byapa ebya private Miloland n'ebibanja ku ttaka lya Kabaka era bakkiriza ekibanja mpola basange Wandegeya mu katale ka KCCA Southern Wing leve eyokusatu lumu 128 oba ku ssimu 0706 147 006 ne 0783 821 918.
Hello beautiful people, you're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday right from 6 to 7.
It is your responsibility omwana wo kubeera mu nyumba nga teyasuze bweru mbo bamubanja rent. Koyo kulaba abalenzi abasajja abakunga butuufu tebabuulirirwa nga babulamu.
Towerabira nti tuli wano ku the Alternative Dig Talk. Mukwano gwange gwali topic kiri wandyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
You can take your time, look for a job, stabilize, men will come, men will always be there, you will get the men. Bonna gwoyagala musajja yenna gwoyagala ojja mufuna.
Embaga ketuuke bino bintu byasenga na ojja bafuna.
Naye ng'oli asitudde ttu yakedde ku makyabbaga nti nsitudde ttu naye nga mubutuufu agambye nti gy'akyali muto.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships? Just be commenting a topic yona gyandyagadde twogereko tujja kwa tujogera kwano ku the alternative digital kushare enganzi the snap talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Digital. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Digital. Digital, the way to go.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
The Mighty Drive, your program Jolly Mkulaba, Amanya Nze Omumba Jaluwa Delirian, Dine Munange Edgar Matthew Karuhanga, Awamo Nomgenyi waffe Counsel Dickson Kahama. Iranga tuchagenda maaso paka sawa 3 ez'amakya olunaku luno olwaleero tugenda maaso n'okwogera ku bintu eby'enjawulo. Tutunuulira ate education system ya Uganda, wa education sector kyonna ky'ogiyita naye nga gwe mulama gwe tuliko tukubaganyako ebirowoozo, the impact of COVID-19 on our education mu ggwanga lino erya Uganda. Gwe mulama gwe tukubaganyako ebirowoozo, of course waliwo positive ne negative impacts naye nga ate tugenda maaso n'okuba nga tuwulira okuva ewa Counsel Kahama Dickson, ono lecturer ku KIU, era nga olwaleero gwe tulina mu studios tugenda maaso n'okuba nga tuwulira okuva gyali ate ebigenda maaso mu ggwanga ku education abirowoozako kyera ki kye tulina okuba nga ate tukola okulaba nga tuzza ate ebyenjigiriza byaffe ku line oba okubizza ate ku ntikko kubanga biri affected n'ekirwadde kino ekya COVID-19. Of course n'ebirala bingi nnyo biri affected naye education ate ye ali affected, of which abasomesa abamu bamaze emyaka 2 nga te tebalinnyako yadde mu kibiina, tebakyamanya na lubaawo bwe lufaanana, so nga ate tufunye n'obuzibu obulala nti waliwo abaana abamu abasoma abalala ate nga tebasoma, waliwo abasomera online, ekyebuuzibwa abasomera online, yes, I mean byebasoma babitegeera oba ate nabo basoma busomi just kutuusa mukolo nti bamaliriza okuba nga basoma. Byonna tubiina era nga gwe alina ekibuuzo ky'obuuza genda tutere ku Facebook page yaffe The Alternative Uganda, beera nga ate okiteekayo oba si kyo osobola okuba ng'oyita ate ku ssimu era nga studio lines MTN eri 0789017145 oba osobola okuyita ku Airtel 0759132310 n'obuuza ekibuuzo ate nosobola okubanga munnange naawe oddibwamu era nga tukyagenda mu maaso kanso kenzireyoko katunonya ate ewa kanso ate tulyoke tugendere ddala mu maaso. Kanso, how do you see our education system in Uganda? How is it so far?
Prior to COVID or if generally?
Generally.
Okay. I think we have gone wrong somehow. You see, nurturing is important, and it all starts from the lower levels of studying. So for me, I think we, like what I was saying, when we grew up, the studying system was not the same as we have. And then also, now I think I see the aim of studying to some parents is passing. That's why for me it's even funny to see students being put on TV. Is it on newspapers that this is the best student in the country? Now we have gone on to away from as the students actually understand what they are studying, or it's about passing. So if I don't pass well today, what will my parent feel? If I'm in P7 and I don't get a 4, I'm not going to appear on TV. But so
will I even appear in newspapers?
On newspapers. So now the parents is after, does my child appear in the papers? Even the schools themselves, that is now their aim. It's not about have our students actually understood what we have taught them. So now we've moved away from teaching and understanding, and then we are going to showbiz.
And remembering.
And remembering. This is the best school that has a... Yeah, so even when the schools are advertising themselves, they talk about that we are the school, we had this number of students in this. Now it loses meaning, honestly. Now we are looking at which school is making students pass.
But the criteria for the education system is passing at the end of the day.
No, it's not about passing only. It's about understanding. Because you might sit in class and don't understand anything, but you have a good brain at cramming and you pass.
So we are good crammers.
And we have students, because from my experience, you teach, you look at students in class, you see, okay, this one, but then when marks come, you see that student actually has high marks. But I don't think the student understood. But he crammed. Because when someone understands, even your engagement with the teacher, you see it. And for me, I've taught them to understand. And I tell them that you might not get high marks. Because I'm one person who doesn't give an A easily. Not because I don't want.
You have to achieve it.
But you have, yes. Not because I don't want to give you or I hate you, but because have you understood what I've talked about. And I tell my students, you might not get an A today. But when you go out there, someone talks to you, you should be able to explain what you learned. That's why you have a student who gets probably 4 in P7. When he gets to secondary school, you wonder where the 4 came from. Or you have a student who has high marks in senior 6. He comes to university, he's a dumb student. Then, and it's not even about those lower classes, even in the universities. The material we give students, are we there giving them to pass, or are they there to understand?
But I was thinking maybe, as Leon is going to come in,
yes.
The way university questions are set,
yes,
they are more set for someone to test their understanding.
Good.
It's not more of what you have learned. That is why, because I've been through university, and then you're saying that some people cram.
Yes.
Is this practical in university?
Of cramming?
Of cramming, because I'm thinking...
Yes, it is.
There is a paper they will set for you, and
yes,
you don't remember studying these things.
So
but you have to understand those things.
Okay. You see, so that is the difference. So some of students will pass because they have crammed. And if you can't cram and you don't understand, then you are off.
There are legends who cram and don't understand.
Yes, so no, what I'm saying,
yes,
you can be in class, you've not understood, and you can't cram. God has not given you that gift of cramming, meaning for you are totally out of the system. But someone can sit there, cannot understand what the man has said, but he can go and do what we call night shift, crams, and he comes and gives you everything that you've talked about. Or gives you everything that you have in the notes.
But when you ask him after one day,
what did you? Then he comes and tells you, sir, you didn't give me my thing. Then you ask him to see actually if he understood himself what he was writing. Then there you know he crammed.
For some people, they also have issues with question interpretation.
Yes, so that it's okay. Maybe the mode of delivery is also important. Okay, so for me, I will speak practically. For me, I don't give notes. I'm one like who refused. We come and discuss, you and me, just the way we are talking. That shows me that you have taken your time to also read about what we are doing. But the problem is that we teachers, the moment you give notes to students, I don't want to discourage teachers who do it, but you don't give them an opportunity to think for themselves.
You're spoon feeding.
Because they know, Mr. Kahama, how can I get your slides? The slides belong to me.
Not to you.
Not to you.
But then we've had this cheating.
Yeah, so the moment even the cheating comes in, because I gave you notes, you are able to cheat. You can hide them somewhere. But if I didn't give you anything, we came and discussed. You have your own notes. So use those ones. Cram your own notes. You get what I'm saying? Cram yours. I'm not going to waste time giving you notes, and that's a challenge, by the way. The way we spoon feed our students, making them not able to think for themselves. That is the thinking we want, or we are looking at. The fact that you cannot think for yourself beyond what I've given you, then there is a problem. So means that even us lecturers or teachers, we need to change our mode of transferring knowledge to our
pupils
and students. So maybe I got an opportunity to study out of this country. But if you look at the mode of teaching outside, it's quite different. The students are not spoon-fed there. The lecturer comes or teacher comes and he talks, and you talk. You discuss. What you discuss, you learn. You cannot forget it.
The spoon feeding comes, it starts from primary and then secondary and then university.
Then us universities have to change. Higher institutions have to change, because that's where we need to. Of course, primary school, there's a class you cannot. You can, of course, there is spoon feeding, but there are classes in primary that you can stop that. You see, when we are studying, a teacher will come and write notes from board A to Z.
I mean, they would write.
And then he goes. Copy that.
Have you understood? Yes.
Have you understood? But what have you understood? You have understood what you have copied. But now imagine at university I go and do that. What am I doing to these students? So I think either, yes, the mode of teaching has changed. Maybe the training also needs to change, the training of us teachers. Not only the students. And unfortunately, now most of us who are teachers are not teacher trained. You get what? So from the faculty of law, none of us actually is a trained, I don't know, maybe trained teachers. You know, there's a difference between a lecturer and a trained lecturer, meaning that you did education and you know the mode of transferring knowledge. Because that is again the difference between students saying this is a good teacher or this is a good lecturer, but how are you transferring the knowledge? So even us teachers or lecturers, we need to upgrade ourselves so that we can better transfer our knowledge to. Because you might find someone who has a lot of knowledge, and when you look at that lecturer, he's very smart, but he cannot transfer what he has to us. So it's us.
For some of them, it's all about money. I need to get my money, of course.
So now that's where the passion issue comes in. Did I come to get money? Did I come to impact knowledge? Have you understood? Whether you've understood or not, it's none of my business. I'm getting my paycheck. So now, it's now back to us, the lecturers or teachers, to find better skills on how to transfer the knowledge we have to the people we are delivering to. Yes.
We still have Mr. Dickson Kahama. As I told you, he's a lecturer and a lawyer at Kampala International University. There is a statement that has been going on all over social media. People are saying there is an education crisis in the country. And this is the background. There are students going to school. There are students who are not going to school. And it is asserted that the students of the rich are going to school. They're studying every day. They have the tablets at home. They have these different platforms where they're studying from. And then there is a student who's in Katakyo somewhere in the remote district who cannot even afford to have data of 500 shillings. And then people are saying that maybe in the near future there's going to be something. We don't know what, but there's going to be an education inequality. Mr. Kahama, do you agree with the folks that are saying that, you know, there is an education crisis in the country? The rich are becoming, you know, educated and knowledgeable. The poor, you stay poor.
Okay, so first of all, yes, but that's the world we are in.
It's a capitalist world.
There are things that usually get out of control. it's not the intention of the people that we are going to leave some people out of. The educational crisis, I don't understand what it means or what they meant, but when was that educational crisis realized? Okay? Is it after COVID-19 or before even COVID-19 was there?
After COVID, that is when it was.
Okay, so that's now we see the crisis. So meaning that even economic crisis is there. So there's crisis on everything. You get the point. My point is that yes, before COVID, we had problems, not crisis, with education.
Yes.
That's correct, right?
Yes.
But now we have crisis. But the crisis is not on education only.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Okay.
And again, the rich are rich. After COVID.
Middle class and middle class.
Yes, the middle class, because you can find yourself today wanting to get 10,000, but someone wants to get 100. During this COVID, we've seen buildings are coming up, but some people cannot even afford what to eat. A meal, right? But your neighbor is building a new house. So can't we also say there's an economic crisis? Yes. Health-wise, there's a crisis. So there is a crisis on everything, not education only. So yes, it is sad that some people can't afford, but then the world has to move on.
But Mr. Kahama,
not that I'm happy about some of the students who will live in remote areas. But then, so what do you... Okay, let me hear what your question would be. But for me, I think the crisis is not on education only. The crisis is on everything. Everywhere. Because back then, we had problems of education. But now, we have a crisis of education. The crisis is because some are studying, others are not.
But Mr. Kahama,
So it's like saying,
yes,
before COVID, I was studying in Katagwi, and someone studying in Kampala, right? And of course, the impact of the knowledge is not the same. So don't you think that's also a crisis? Because you might find students in Kampala gain probably more unpractical than the people is in the village.
They have
facilitators. So we could say actually the crisis started a long time ago.
But let's look at it in this way.
Yes.
10 years from now, there are those students that didn't study or have not been studying, and there are those that actually have been going on. Isn't that the case where you find the poor or those students or those people who have not been able to go to school rising up against these so-called literate, because that is the narrative that is being pushed. That one time we are not seeing it, as one professor was saying, we are not seeing it right now. We are seeing it 10 years from now, where these ones who have not been able to go to school and have been disenfranchised, won't they look at the other ones as villains? Because it's inherent in human nature. You're leaving me and we're in the same system, and because you have money, won't we see that?
Now we are looking at education as a source of money. That's what it means. Because we think, probably those who have asked who are educated during this time, we are going to have more money in 10 years' time. And that would cause what? Not educational crisis.
Let's first pause and pick from there.
Hello, the Mighty Drive. Are you watching the Mighty Drive? Your name, please.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Norman.
Yes, Mr. Norman.
And fortunately, I happen to be Counsel Kahama as a student, which first of all was a good one. As I have even seen some comments for you in the international law. But that aside, I think I would want to either convince Mr. Kahama and others to believe in new trends with how things are moving. For instance, he is very aware that making a lecturer that he spends 2 hours for a lecture. And you find that, like he said, I think a few things have changed. This gentleman or any other lecturer will come in a room, lecture students, only 2 hours. And in my view, I think that it is high time that institutions created like either 10 or 20 minutes of every lecture to do career guidance. some young people have been with, I mean, you sit with the students, and because some neighbor was a lawyer, and this person probably does law. I mean, they would give you examples of big lawyers when they are teaching students. They would give examples of entrepreneurs who have also made it nice. So you find someone from a young one, his bigger objective in life is to sit in a law class, go to LDC, and thereafter, I mean, so many of us had thought that as soon as you graduate, then go to work, have your, have your PC. That is your dream. In fact, it is compared to heaven, like you will have become another angel. Without guiding people, that even some people can become successful, not necessarily from a specific course. So you find that there is need to do career guidance at all levels. You want to do law, but I mean, some students are not good. You even look at them and like this one might not be a good advocate, but he can be a very wonderful researcher. Maybe this one can be a very good advocate in other things. So there is a need to do career guidance. Finally, for me, I want to ask him, on behalf of KIU and perhaps other institutions where he could be a friend of those institutions, what have they done to ensure that there is balanced service delivery? I mean, for instance, I hail from Mwengo. KIU will tell you, today on we are having online classes. Are they aware that majority of students or even the entire nation is computer illiterate? So how do they balance between a student of Mwengo deep there who doesn't even know how to place a computer to turn on? Kampala, I mean, let's say from Kampala parents, those who have studied from high class school, is there an imbalance, especially when it comes to examination, and I mean, there is I would want to hear from him if there are any specific solutions that they have had. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Norman. We talked about a lot of things, and computer literacy is one of them.
Yes, so I heard him about career guidance, which I already talked about.
Definitely.
Maybe he came in late. So I agree with him. It's important that we as lecturers or teachers take some time and give career guidance to our students or to whoever we are handling. But on the issue of computer literacy, I want to divert away from him, because I know every time you enter university, especially when you're in first year, you get an opportunity to be taught computer.
It's the first course unit.
It's the first course unit you have.
Yes.
So.
But then they teach you basic computer.
But that's what you need.
You don't need a lot of skills.
No. Basic computer is what you need.
Okay.
But some of you, even the basic computer, you don't want to go there.
No, that's just another problem.
Yeah, so now, to study online.
Yes, please.
Yes, there are other difficulties like data and all that, and network, which is now a country problem.
Yes.
With data and network system. That could not be on the institution's problem.
Yes.
But what you need on a computer is basic computer. You don't need programming to do an online study. Because it's none of your business. You are not a computer scientist.
Yes.
Do you know how to switch on a computer? Yes. Do you know how to go to Word? Yes. Do you know how to type? Yes.
Do you know how to use PowerPoint?
Do you know how to use PowerPoint? Yes. So that is taught at first year. Basics. And that's all you need to do an online exam. The only challenge I would accept would be the network system. And that is not on the university. It is a government thing that probably their network is not the best. It has not got to where you are. But as an institute, I think they have tried their best. But some of our students don't think they know it all. And they never thought something like this would ever come. They always thought we'll come and sit exams. So some of them don't take initiative. Even when we were studying.
There would be those.
There will be those. And today, you study in the same class, but you know how to use the computer more than the person you studied with. And then you wonder, what happened? What went wrong? So I think also our students need to take care of little things that they get from the university. Because tomorrow, they will need it. Because you cannot leave university and you want to apply to a job when you can't even use a computer. Who is going to employ you? And yet you claim you're in the university. But you don't know how to use Word. Because some interviews actually ask you to do the interview on the computer. Are you not going to do it?
It's a written interview.
It's a written interview, and it's not, because there's one I did and I was put on the computer. And I have 30 minutes to answer 30 questions. You need to think, you need to use the computer. And that's the world you are in. So as students also, they need to take care of themselves, to see that they progress individually as students. Because if you are saying maybe the university not put the computer facilities there, that could be another problem. But I'm sure KIU has, 3 labs. Students are free to go and use it at any time. For their own knowledge, you can use it. But if you don't take care, no one is going to help you. The only problem I will face with that is that the network system and maybe the buying of data, that could also be a problem. The internet penetration, and that's a countrywide problem. It's not a university or an institution of learning's problem.
Aisiza okukalango ka KIU, na it's okay.
Don't you think you also have to look at these students, the students from the urban centers and then the students from the rural areas, because these are all students that need to study at the same time. But when we are looking at, or when we are focusing on the students in the urban centers, how about the students in the rural areas?
Okay, the focus. Okay, the online system, first of all, we want to say it cannot go away, because you people, the youth, you are going digital. So what we should pray for is for our country to invest more in this infrastructure. Because if the infrastructure is correct or is invested in properly, even the student in Rengo, the village he talked about, can be able to access. There are things that the institutions cannot do. But the institution has provided, okay, not to miss your learning, we are giving you an online platform. So what would it be? How would it be like we say, okay, now university has closed, no more schooling for 2 years or 3 years. How will it be? But at least there is a media. Let's use this media to see that you progress. But now
some of you progress.
No, not some of you. Okay, some of you, because the problem is bigger than the institute. So if the institute had its own way, maybe it would have extended wire system in Rengo, or maybe in Katakwi.
Yes.
Okay? Yes. But the problem is not the institute. The problem is a bigger problem that an institute on its own cannot manage. I don't know if my point is got.
Because if you look at the internet users in Uganda,
how many are they?
They're 12 point something.
And out of how many millions? We have 40 something. So, and where is those internet users? Where are they?
And they're just internet users. We are not even sure if they actively use the internet.
The active ones are 3 point something.
And what do you do there? So if you have a smartphone, because I know majority of our students have smartphones, you can sit in a class and you find maybe 1 or 2 don't have smartphones. So what are you doing on the who taught you how to use a smartphone if you can't use a computer? Or is it because it's for it, but you need to type?
But let's look at the practical part of the e-learning process. How is it? Because most of the times, students are given the theory part, but then the practical part.
No, the e-learning is a general problem. I want to admit, not in Uganda only, but it's an African challenge. Because we did not anticipate such things on the continent. Because if you look at the research that was done, most schools closed on the African continent. Like, I think 88% closed down as a measure for the pandemic. Okay, but when you go to Europe, it's like 24%. They didn't go to class, they closed going to class, but learning was going on. Because already for them, they have it on the system. Okay.
Internet to them is a basic need.
It's a basic need, and also the institutes themselves, they have already moved to that grade that everything is supposed to be done online, to an extent that even application to the institute or to the schools is supposed to be done online. So the challenge is, yes, we as an African continent and Uganda, we are not isolated. So we should try hard Because you cannot say that it's only people in the village who are not, or it's on our students who don't know how to use the computer, the e-learning. It's a new thing that is coming into us, and also the institutions probably would never thought of that. So it's a wake-up call for the institutions to adapt to what is happening, because otherwise, that is where we are going.
Let's look at that tuition. Is there anything like a reduction of tuition, because these people are studying online and then they are not using the university itself?
Okay, that one I don't want to answer for the university because I don't know about the financial details, but what I know, it depends on various universities on what they do. Because I know there are some universities that charge different fees for different, if it's online, different fees. If it's campus, it's different fees. Just like studying part-time and full-time, you will not have the same fees.
But you're not using the university.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you can be studying part-time, you are not on campus, right? So that's why your fees are different from someone studying full-time. So that one, I cannot speak for the finance of the university because I don't know. Me, I'm a lecturer.
Okay. Well, 31 minutes.
So I cannot say whether this should be done or I don't know. I cannot have my views on that. Yes.
31 minutes past the top of the hour. We still have Mr. Dickson Kahama, and I'm receiving a couple of messages and feedback from the different students. You have a lot of students watching you today, and there are no students.
That's good.
And there is a question here that I noted down. They are saying many lawyers do not have employment, and why is that? I'm going to ask you that. But before we answer this gentleman, because we have a couple of other questions according to the law. Now we are going to leave the lecturer and goes to the lawyer in the last 20 minutes that we have. But before we go there, let's first talk about schools closing down now. We reach a time where schools have closed typically down, and you find some have been mortgaged, some are gardens now, some are sties, they are keeping animals and things like that. Schools have actually closed down.
Yes.
What does this mean to the country, and is this also a challenge that we should also be maybe fearing for? That means maybe schools are running bankrupt?
Maybe to answer that, let me also ask a question.
Yes, sir.
You've heard that ShopRite is leaving Uganda. Why do you think so?
Yeah, we say.
So, no, like I've said, to answer you on a serious note. Yeah. So, like I told you, schools depend on what comes in. So if nothing comes in for a year or two, and then some people put loans or get loans to build these schools, and you are expecting that you are going to pay back this loan as a result of you having students or pupils, and they are not there. So the answer to that would be, of course, you are going to bankrupt and you end up closing. Just as ShopRite, thinking that they have customers in Uganda when they don't have, because the purchasing power has reduced, and who goes to game in Uganda in a day?
But we have supermarkets near us.
Yeah, I think
but how many people go there?
Yes.
How often do you shop in a supermarket?
Yes.
Yes. How?
At least I do that.
How
once
often?
in a week.
Yes. So if you stand, sorry to go to games. So if you stand at a game store, just to do a survey in one day, or even a supermarket next to you in one day, how many people would you see go there?
A few.
There are few. So now you all want to go to a small shop where you can even get a loan. That you give me sugar, I'll bring the money tomorrow. Are you going to do that in the supermarket? But now back to the schools. The issue is that since we get their generation is more on the students. But maybe something to think about is that even schools or institutions should learn of generating income outside the students, because it has affected actually the higher institutions, especially private. Yeah. Yes. So if you depend on students only, it is difficult to run an institution. So it is better maybe we find other means, maybe like you know, when you do research projects with these big companies, of course you are sure of grants, you are sure of, so you should find other means of actually generating income as institutions of learning.
Mr. Kahama, then there is another question here. There is a policy that the government is inculcating where they're going to be promoting students, and it's not whether you've passed or you haven't. If you were in P1 and you are attending to school, go to P2. You're not sure if you were in baby, go to top class or P1. Mr. Kahama, how is this something? Are we just desperate for students to pass through the education system, rather than what you talked about, understanding?
Oh, let me use this. So desperate things call for desperate measures, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think, for me personally, in a personal view, I think that is wrong. But there's a lot of forces on it.
But aren't we being too desperate?
No, even the parents are desperate.
Yes.
So it's not about the government policy, but if the parents are desperate, everyone is desperate. My child has been at home, is in P1. She's getting to 14 years, I don't know. P1, you're supposed to be how old? Let's say 7.
7 years.
7 years, right? And then your child, you expected the child to be in P1 at 7. Now the child is getting to 8 or 9. So now the desperation comes from where?
From both sides.
Both sides. So now the parents are desperate, the government is looking for a solution for that desperation.
But you as a trained academician, is this...
I don't think it's the best way. I don't think that's the best solution we can have for that. But again, like I've said, it's not anyone is wanting to move that direction. It's the forces that pushes such things to happen. It's not the best solution. I admit, and if I was the one, I could not even
think about it. What would, in your opinion, be the best solution, maybe? Something you think that maybe would be practical?
Patience. Patience on all of us. So the parents should agree that there is a crisis. It was not brought by government of Uganda, but it is worldwide. So that patience should be one of them. Secondly, I think we've talked about infrastructure development. Maybe that turns back to our government to push more on infrastructure development, especially on the online system, and also some of our parents, they should also find a way to see that their kids are taught. Because I've heard programs on radio, I've heard programs on TV, but where you are, you see kids running around. Instead of at least getting some time. It might not be the best as a class, but if you sit your kid there for 1 hour or 2, the kid can get speed. Yeah, because the radio is there.
Parents are very busy looking for fees and all that. And then they leave their kids at home to study on TV.
So then they will not study. If you are busy for your child, there is a problem.
Who's going to take care of them if you're busy?
They're the ones
yeah, that's the force I'm talking about. Okay, so that is if a parent cannot take care of your child, you cannot discipline your own child, and you give the child to the school, then what are you doing?
So you're trying to say that the parents haven't played their part.
True.
I also agree with him.
Yes.
It's the reason as to why we're having teenage pregnancies. The numbers are growing day in, day out.
So if a parent, you cannot do your own part as a parent, who is going to do it for you? So you want me, a lecturer, to come to your house and train your child on what to do? No, no one is. Charity begins from home.
Family is the smallest unit of society. So, and I always say this, when you want to change the nation, first change yours.
Your own child.
Your child. Change your son, change your daughter.
So if you cannot discipline your child at that age, just to tell a child at 8, sit down and listen to this. I have a friend who he told me that when he was growing up, his dad used to tell him that at 9 o'clock, you have to listen to news. When I come back, you tell me.
That is also what my dad used to tell me.
At 9, every time 9 o'clock,
sit down,
watch or listen, When I come back, tell me what you've had.
Yeah, true. And that's why I even grown the passion of journalism.
So now, if you don't, you cannot do such a simple thing to your child.
But Counsel, I wanted to talk about something. I got it from a friend of mine. He said there is a trend at university that lecturers fail students intentionally because these students fail to give them something in return. How true is this at KIU?
What do you expect?
What do you expect me to say? Okay, so from my experience, I've not heard it. Of course, some students can confide to you, but I've not heard that. So I don't want to give it so much comment that students, they are failed because they have refused to give something in return. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't want to.
Mr. Kahama, I will talk about it as a student. It is true that many students are failed because they denounce sexual endeavors from their lecturers. Mr. Kahama does not do that. I want to really put that as a sideliner. But Mr. Kahama, let's first, in the last 10 minutes, let's not talk about the education system. We have given it paramount time, and I believe our viewers have learned from it. Let's talk about this student, your own student, who told me lawyers are not getting jobs, and many of them are just putting on the suits and walking from office to office, but they don't have the money, they don't have the careers, they don't have the job. What is your advice to that student? And I think you have given it to him or her before, but
they didn't listen.
Yeah, maybe they didn't listen. But let's give it a global perspective and a nationwide perspective. What should a law student do right now after they have done maybe their backwards at LDC, or they have finished their bachelors and they want to reap from where they sowed? What is your take on that, sir?
Okay, so I want to say the law profession is a bit challenging. And in Uganda, we have a culture that people don't want to live where they are.
The wood problem.
Yes. So the advice I could give to them, you see, when I was studying my law, a professor told us this statement, which I got in my head, that you were 8 students in the class. That time I remember. And the man said that all of you here, you will not end up in court, much as you want to. So remember where I started from. So the problem we have with students is that the moment I do law, my focus is I have to be in court of law to practice what I've done. But for me, I think they should start thinking beyond that. Because the question you ask yourself, how many clients are there in this country? To give all of you who have studied law, some of you have just finished and you want to go to court. Today you have a PC and you go to court. Okay? So for me, my advice I can give, yes, they might have their passion, but they should think other ways of, as lawyers, because the law profession is open. You can give you other opportunities.
So it's the mindset.
It's a mindset. So not all of us, okay, even me, I studied law, but I don't go to court, I'm not in court. But it doesn't mean that I don't know anything about what I studied. Okay? So actually, I learned a lesson from that man, because I had a lot of zeal. But when you realize you enter into the market and you see there are so many forces, you end up thinking in another direction. Because it is rewarding. Not only being in court is, because I know students would want, that is the ultimate. Someone said it's like an angel. Going to court is like, you've got, but I think mindset. And mindset has to start immediately, especially when they're in 4-2. That's when they start thinking about their career. Where do you want to go? There are other opportunities.
What are those opportunities that maybe they can also start and maybe delve in? Sometimes they're too gullible to see them. So do you mind advising?
For example, if we are 4 students who studied law, we have completed, we have the knowledge. Can't we start up an organization like this one? Is it alternative?
Yeah, alternative dictok.
Dicto, right?
Yes.
We have not gone to court, but we're imparting our knowledge to people.
Yes.
So you could start maybe a research institute, you could start a human rights organization, you could open up your box and find a way to survive, because for sure, not all of you will be in court. That is 100%. Okay. And that should be a mentality they should have, all the students, because not all of them will get jobs, just as not all doctors have jobs. Right? Yeah. Not all accountants have jobs. But what do you do with your degree of a doctor? Or what do you do with your degree of an accountant? What do you do with your degree of law? So it's a mindset.
Okay.
Because jobs are not there. That's why you guys, you decide to do this.
You start your own initiative.
And you are doing your own thing. You are employed. You do at your own pace and all that. So if today you try to seek for a job, now this man, I know you finished studying.
Yeah.
You will be on issues all day trying to get something. But your mind has created. The university gives you knowledge. So it's for you to use it your own best and advantage. So I don't want to promise them that there will be jobs.
Yes.
No.
Okay. We are going to be reading some of the messages, but before we do that, because we come to the end of the show, Lillian, you'll be preparing those messages. Quick one. And we talked about this off air, but I'm bringing it on air. The President of the Republic of the country says that they are not going to...
no, he's proposing.
He's proposing,
yes,
that they should scrap off bail for capital offenders. Constitutionally and as a lawyer, do you think this is practical? And what does the law talk about, bail? And just give us just like a quick comment on.
Okay, so let me start. As I said, the law has its own course. Legally, there's a right to bail. That is the legal principle, and it is internationally accepted. But then when the president was talking, he talked about the victim.
Yeah, they say the law sides with the offenders.
Yes, which is true.
How about the victim then?
That's his question. How about the victim? That you killed my mother. Okay? Okay, you are going to go to prison, and then tomorrow they give you bail because it's your right. My mother didn't have any right to live. So, okay, personally, I don't want to... It's a political question.
Yes.
And also, I am one person who has my reservations on rights, the concept of human rights and where it came from and who pushes for it. So the question to ask the president, so if you remove bail with the capital offenders reducing the country, definitely not. So it's like saying we continue having death penalty. So if we have,
and he has always been a strong advocate for that.
Yes. So if does death penalty reduce crime? No, it doesn't. So it is his views as the head of state. The legal people, yes, the politicians will say it's a right. So let me say I don't have a comment.
A definite comment.
A definite comment.
Okay.
Because I might have my personal views, which should not go on air.
All right. It's Lillian.
Let's dive into the comments. There is a question. Innocent Inebirna says, "Good morning. I have a question for Mr. Kahama. Why is there a problem of missing marks at KIU? Almost every student has experienced this problem. What does he have to say about it?"
I don't think this program is for KIU. I don't think I'm on a program of KIU. So.
But there's been an issue of missing marks.
But this is not a program of KIU. Yes. So I cannot answer that.
Okay, Rogers to the highway. He has a question. If those who are teaching leave, shall we not have a vacuum? That aside, what happens if the experienced teachers leave, because we could agree that student teachers will not produce the same results as the experienced ones?
Yeah, let's hope that they don't leave. The comment I can give there. Let's hope that the experienced people don't leave us. Yeah.
Okay. We have Jeremiah Mchibi, he's watching. He says, I'm here. Mutale Farouk Hussein says, Mwasuze Mutia, Twasuze Gurunji Mwame Mutale. Tumhimbi Senoman, here too. Rogers Jehawe says, the international law done. Hey, you're the international law done.
I don't know.
Ravi Tenobat says, watching you, Doctor. Thanks. He says thanks for the program. Most of these people, most of these comments are appreciating. Evans Muyofu, good morning, thanks for the show. And Kasiri Isaac says you're welcome. So, there's a caller. Hello, the Mighty Drive. Your name,
Yes,
please.
Hello.
Hello, good morning, sir. Yes, Mwami Selunkumu.
Mbuzaako omwami oyo ye bw'atunuulira engeri gavumenti gyekuttemu ebyenjigiriza mu kisa kino ekya covid alaba nga yenkwata esaanidde erifa abazadde naddala ffe ab'omu byalo bankuseere bw'ebanga si ye nnungi ye alowooza gavumenti yalikutte etya embeera nayo ebyenjigiriza mu kadde kano kosa abagagga abaana abagagga basoma simanyi mbwenyika nasoma olwokufaga ffe tuli eno wansi abaana baffe tebasoma kyokka nga ate bayavuganya mu ebiseera by'omumaaso bavuganya n'abo abasoma mu international n'abafa ab'omu byalo eyanze nyabo
toyanze Mwami Selunkumu.
International law.
International.
Oh, international. Okay. So he's asking whether I think the government is doing the right thing, right? Like we've already talked about that, and we've said that yes, the government is not doing the best for all of us, and we accept that there is a challenge, and of course it's the government to fix it. But the other point would be the inequalities will not change.
That's what society is complaining.
That is society. And the believers also believe that we are in the final day of events. The world is almost coming to an end.
Yes.
So even if that man looks at his fingers, they are not equal. Yeah. Not to discourage him. Yeah. But of course I believe what government is not doing is not the best, but I'm sure they are trying to see that they also help those who cannot afford. Yeah.
Okay, your parting shots. Thank you so much for joining us on the Mighty Drive today. It has been an educative discussion. I personally have learned from you, and I know many of our viewers today have really learned from you. So your parting shots, Mr. Kahama.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity also to be on this Mighty Drive.
Yes, please.
Yes, on the alternative. But the only comment that I want to put is all of us, let us have a changed mindset on the way we see things. The students, the mindsets should also start thinking beyond the boxes. And even us, so all of us, the only comment I can give, let's have a change of mindset, and I think we will be able to survive.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kahama.
Thank you too.
And thank you to our viewers who have been watching from the start till the end of this show. My name is Princess Duwade Lillian. I've been with Edgar Matthew Karahanga as my co-host, and the producer has been Rogers Tudiahawe, and the man on camera that is none other than Jeremiah Muchibi. Tomorrow is in-house Thursday, so you don't have to miss. We have the fashion tips, we have the environmental tips, and many more that you don't have to miss. Let me wish you a fruitful day. Till we meet again, goodbye.
Alternative Dig Talk, real issues, real talk.